Hey, 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 welcome back to Comidas de mi Mom, where I cook from my mom's recipe book. So today we're going to jump into episode 4 of the cookbook. And today's recipe is tomatoes and bread. Now, remember when we did the matzo ball soup and I told you, oh, by the way, this is my Fiesta apron because it's Fiesta right now in San Antonio. The Jewish ladies, moms, cooks, whatever, there was cracker crumbs in the bottom of the package of crackers, of the matzo crackers, and they turned that into dumplings. This is another one of those no waste recipes because you don't want to waste things. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that my mom was born in 1931, and there was a couple of very significant things going on in 1931. First of all, a bunch of people convinced a whole bunch of other people that alcohol was a really, really bad thing. And they actually got an amendment to the Constitution of the United States forbidding the distribution, manufacture, and consumption of alcohol. And the other thing that was going on in 1931 was something called the Great Depression, which was this huge economic downturn where nobody had money. The only people who had money were the bootleggers, the people that were illegally manufacturing and distributing for consumption alcohol. So could you imagine Fiesta without a mangalada? Anyways, and that was less than 100 years, folks. That was less than 100 years ago. So anyways, so from the Depression comes a lot of recipes where you don't waste anything. And this is definitely one of those. So bread and tomatoes, or tomatoes and bread. 1 large can peeled tomatoes squished. We got the whole peeled tomatoes and we got the squisher. Remember last week? 3 slices of stale bread. Now this, according to my sister, my mom used whole wheat bread. I kind of remember sourdough, but it's whatever stale bread you've got. And that's what's going to work. 2 pats of butter, again, with the butter, and salt and pepper to taste. Break the bread into pieces, cover with tomatoes, add butter, season and cook over low heat, stirring often. I usually don't add salt because the tomatoes have salt already. So it's basically the okra and tomatoes recipe, but using bread and tomatoes. So anyways, that's it. I'm going to whip it up and I'll show you what it looks like. Back in a sec. Bye. So here we go. We've got 2 pats of butter. We've got, I didn't have any stale bread because bread doesn't go stale in this house. But I made toast because that's basically the same thing. So we're going to just kind of rip it all up. And this is sourdough made from the La Panderia bakery in San Antonio, which Guy Fieri says is the best panderia in all of San Antonio. And you know what? I agree because it's really, really, really good. And this is their sourdough bread, which is really, really good. So rip that all up, throw that in there. Have 4 slices, but you know, I like the bread part. Now, if you've got a problem with the texture of soggy bread, because some people do, then this recipe is not for you. But if you don't have a problem with that, then we're good. So, anyways, now in this case, I'm just dumping the tomatoes on top. And I got my ka-chunk. I'm just going to go in there, break everything up. See? Snappy, 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 snappy. And then we're just going to add a little pepper. We already got our butter in there. She said go light on the salt because your tomatoes have salt. We're going to cook this up. I'm going to stir it with my calavera spatula. In a little bit, we're going to have tomato and bread. So, all right. recipe. It's been about 7 minutes and everything is heated through and it's turned into this homogeneous mess. So there you go. That's what it looks like. And honestly, you know, you could probably get away with sprinkling some Parmesan on top of it, or maybe melting some cheese into it or something if you want a little bit more, but that's it. So it's just literally tomatoes and bread. So I will tell you though, I did put too much bread in it because I remember it being a lot more tomato brothy with just kind of like a hint of bread. So I think I went a little nuts with the bread, but that's okay. I will tell you a little PTSD story about this particular recipe. So every year my family has a family reunion and it's a big potluck and everybody would bring stuff. And somebody brought what I thought was tomatoes and bread. It turned out to be tomatoes and chicharron. Now, if you've ever had a rehydrated chicharron, it's a texture adventure. And all of us ate it thinking that it was tomatoes and bread. But when we took a bite of that rehydrated it was just... So I think that kind of burned me on this particular recipe because this is another recipe that I haven't made for years. But now that I've made it and I've tried it, I'm like gonna definitely make it again. So anyways, thanks for following, and next week we're still in that tomato world because we're going to be making calabacitas con queso. So anyways, that's it for today, and don't forget, I love you, and ta-ta for now.